Hello and welcome to the Granstrom Podcast, Super Soul Model Series, where I help people tune and tap into their natural state of well-being. In this episode, I'm going to share what to do when things don't go your way. Now, life is always full of contrast and challenges. That's what helps you expand. That's what helps you grow. But sometimes it seems as though things go your way, and other times it feels as though things aren't going your way. And what I want to do is just clarify what helps you remain stuck and what helps you get out of that funk and helps you move forward. If you enjoy this podcast, please remember to like, subscribe and share. Give it a thumbs up and leave it a review. I so appreciate all of you who listen. You make this podcast, you make this show. So thank you so much for being a partner with me on this journey of sharing this information. Life is like a game. And the quicker you're able to find a sense of calm, a sense of inner peace, a sense of centeredness and a sense of harmony, the quicker life seems to work in your favor. And when there are problems and challenges that seem to continue in your experience, it means that you haven't quite yet grasped the lesson of mastering your emotional frequency of calm, centered inner peace and inner harmony. And that's what I want to share with you in this episode. Now, the purpose of this episode is for you to become aware so you can become more, live more, enjoy more, and live to your true potential, which is unlimited. But you first need to learn how to master your emotions, and particularly learn how to understand why certain things come into your experience and learn how to deal with them from an emotionally aligned point of view. Now, you're not always going to get it right, but the idea is that you grow in awareness, because as you grow in awareness, you grow in energy. And as you grow in energy, you attract more high frequency vibe events, people, places, things, opportunities, and green lights. And that's where the fun and the magic of life lies. Now, sometimes life is really difficult. Life can be challenging. And life will throw you challenges to see who you are going to become in the process. So when it seems as though things aren't going your way, actually what's happening in spiritual truth is you can't see the whole picture. So for instance, with me, nearly 2 years ago, my dad died and he made his transition and he took off. Now that left me a lot of challenges to have to sort out and have to arrange. But at the same time, it's been a real blessing. Now, when it seems as though things aren't going your way, because maybe someone's died, maybe there's been a health condition, maybe there's been a financial challenge, maybe you're having difficulties in a relationship, whatever the challenge that's presenting itself, and it seems as though things aren't working out, behind it, something really is trying to come into fruition. But an old part of your experience needs to wither away and die so a new version can come in. Because without the tough times, what's going to happen is you become soft. And really what you want to do is learn how to build a sense of personal power. You can't see the whole frame of what's going on from a bird's eye perspective of your life. Spirit, the universe, source energy, life has got your back, but it seems as though it's not working out. It seems as though nothing is happening for you, but actually, in reality, everything is happening for you so that you develop the qualities and characteristics that's actually going to see you through not only this challenge or this problem, but into something so much better that you can't even fathom, grasp, or even intellectually understand yet. Because a lot of millionaires, a lot of successful businessmen, a lot of people who've reached high levels of personal fulfillment and joy in their life and their career, particularly athletes, have had to go through challenges. They have to go through serious problems, and they always say that those problems made them stronger. I'll never forget the movie Rush, which was about Formula One drivers in the 70s. I think it was about Niki Lauda and it was about James Hunt. Now, this movie was about two Formula One drivers who were head to head, and suddenly Niki Lauda's car on one of the races crashed and went into flames. And the little life lesson that came out of this movie, which was, thank you for this adversity, because this adversity made me stronger. And whilst he was in hospital recovering from serious burns, he was watching James Hunt win race after race. And he said, you winning and that adversity created a drive within me to want to heal and to get better and get back on the circuit. The same thing happened with Bruce Lee. He broke his back, and for 9 months he was out, and he was driven by this idea to want to bring Kung Fu to this world, even though it seemed as though he was unlikely to ever return again to practicing his martial arts. So anyone who's ever had any real challenge has always gone back and said, that challenge, those problems I had, they created a drive within me. They created a backbone, they created self-control, they created self-discipline that made me want to be better, and it drove me. So it was almost using those challenges as fuel to become a better version of themselves. So anything that seems as though it's not going your way, use it as fuel to empower yourself. But that's going to take, like I said, self-control, self-discipline, and being able to be emotionally intelligent enough to realize that a challenge or a contrast is just an opportunity for you to become a better human being and a better version of yourself. When you master your emotions and the setbacks and the challenges and the things not going your way, and you can make peace with them, what happens is you get green lights because they don't bother you. There's no emotional charge. Everything is really about the amount of emotional charge that you have. And when you don't care, or should I say even better, when you're not resenting or upset, emotionally charged, you're not bothered, you're completely relaxed about whether something happens or it doesn't happen. That is when the veil or the illusion, or the Maya, as they say in India, the veil of illusion lifts up and opportunities and green lights come in. I've seen it time and time again with myself. When I stopped needing something, something's turned up in my life, and then the money came in. Look into your own experience. How many times have you managed not to be needy or need something desperately to change to feel better, but you've managed to feel better or feel non-attached or feel not bothered? All this is an emotional demagnetization of neediness, because the neediness repels what you want, and being relaxed and centered and harmonious attracts. So if someone dies, or you've had a breakup, or you've come into a financial challenge, or maybe you've been diagnosed with something, whatever the experience that's happening to you, and you may think that that is not going your way, you may thinking that life's hard for you, you have a choice. You have a choice to either stay in a victim mentality, or you have a choice to stay in a creator mentality. And if you're listening to this podcast, it means that you are probably on the side of realizing that you are a creator. You create your experience. You create through your thoughts, words, and deeds. This is an empowering place to come from, but yet in the development of yourself, it requires a lot of backbone. You require a lot of backbone and self-discipline and self-control to go, I'm not going to let this experience or this event or whatever I've been given define me. What I'm going to define is how I choose to be, how I'm going to be. And that takes some serious discipline, and sometimes you're not going to get it right. I know on several occasions when things haven't gone my way that I've lost my center, but I've had to realize that I know I'm still the creator of my reality. I know law of attraction is always working for me, and I know that whatever I'm sending out emotionally is always coming back. So for instance, when my father died, I realized I needed to remain in my center because my whole family was kind of dependent on me being able to take charge of the situation for a little bit. And so I needed to be that person. So I went into serious habits of self-care and self-discipline to be able to keep myself in my center so that I could make good decisions despite what was coming and all the new that was coming and all the challenge and the emotion that was coming. Because if I wasn't able to be centered, I couldn't make good choices. I couldn't make good financial decisions. I couldn't, arrange funerals. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. So I knew that I needed to be really disciplined with my self-care. And those challenges made me feel so much better, so much stronger to handle the next few months that came after that. Dealing with solicitors, dealing with letters, dealing with things in other countries, all sorts of things. But it makes you better when you have a challenge, because what it actually is doing is allowing yourself to become stronger, more powerful, and ready to take on greater responsibility, which will beget greater blessings. If you can realize that everything is a setup, no matter how it may seem, then you realize that that automatically diffuses you feeling victimized. On previous podcasts, I've always mentioned that whenever you experience the manure of life, what it is fertilizer for something more beautiful to come up so that the roses can come up. But you have to keep watering, and you have to use the manure of life as fertilizer for something better to come along, because that is the strength that fuels you for new things to evolve and come into life and come to blossom. Now, when you finally realize that you can master your emotions by not feeling as though you're victimized, not feeling down, not allowing life to feel as though you've been trampled on, even though that really might be your experience, if you can realize that there's something else greater going on for you, if you realize that you have the power to change your mood, which you do, if you realize that you have the power to feel differently than the way that you feel, which means at the moment you might own that you don't feel great, but you want to find a way to feel great. What you're actually doing is you're saying to life, hey, this is how I feel right now, but I know I can feel a lot better. And when you do, what you're actually doing is you're moving towards mastering your emotions. I think the year was about 2003 or 2004 when I began to become emotionally intelligent, emotionally smart, and realized that my mood determined what events came to me and how I could handle circumstances when they came up. That's when I really realized that everything is working out for me, no matter how it seems. And so it gave me an idea that patience is always a good thing to have, kindness is always a good thing to have, feeling good is the most important thing to do. And when you don't feel good, own it, but try and pivot towards it again. And realize that sometimes you're only one sleep away from feeling good again. Realize that you're only one cold shower away from feeling present again. Realize that you're only one kind word or one compliment from feeling better again. And that all these things and all these challenges that come to you are setups for something better, are reasons for you to become stronger, for reasons for you to become more aware and more powerful than you have ever realized before, and that you can do things you didn't even realize were possible, that you stretch your limits for what's possible. That is a beautiful place to live from and to know, even if you don't feel it right, you know that in the back of your mind and in your heart of hearts that it's possible. Because if someone else can do it, you can do it. And as soon as you become clear, and as soon as you become aware that you have emotional intelligence and you develop a backbone of self-control, self-discipline to want to find a way to feel better no matter what, and to not feel like a victim, but to choose to feel like a creator, and then get experience of knowing that you're creating your experience because you're looking at the world and you're looking at it through eyes of possibility rather than eyes of victimhood. What you're actually doing is shifting your vibration. And this makes you into a really powerful superhuman being. So the reason why we're all fascinated with superheroes is because at some level they are normal, and then when adversity comes, they step into being a superhero. This is all the whole premise of the hero's journey. And we all have that in our lives. And so when problems and challenges arrive in your life, realize the superhero within you or the superheroine within you is meant to flourish, is meant to come out. And this is what you need to be able to become aware of and be able to put on that hat whenever you need, because someone always needs a leader. So what do you do when things don't go your way? So the first and foremost thing is to recognize how they happen. So how do the red lights happen initially? They happen through complaint, they happen through you feeling dissatisfied, they happen through you feeling discontent, pretty much feeling every single negative emotion. You are attracting red lights into your experience and events and people and things. And every time that you observe them, every time you talk about them, what happens by law of attraction, you get more. And it just seems like a cycle that's never ending. And it is because law of attraction dishes up more of what you're observing and giving your attention and talking about. So you've got to really just give your attention to what you want. And all energy is contagious and all energy is magnetic. So you can't turn the law of attraction off. It's like you can't turn gravity off. The law of attraction for me in my experience has been really amazing. I've managed to attract into my experience a really beautiful, harmonious experience. Yet from time to time, things happen that really wind me up. And sometimes the drivers on the road who just stop in the middle of the road or do this or do that, I noticed that I was finding myself complaining and getting absolutely worked up by the lack of understanding of how to drive properly. And I noticed that more and more things would happen because I'd get more and more upset by what I was observing. Until one day I realized that that was a really close call, and I was like, do you know what? The law of attraction is just responding to my vibration. So I need to make peace and I need to find harmony with what anyone else is doing, no matter what. I've got to have zero expectations in the nicest way by realizing the better I feel and send blessings to people on the road, the better my experience will be on the road. And little by little, my experience on the road is very good. But you've got to catch yourself in the act and then begin to turn it round. You've got to look for things to appreciate. Otherwise, that cycle or that loop of lunacy will continue. And so you've got to be very observant about what your conversations are, what you're talking about, what you're acknowledging in your experience, because the law of attraction will always give you more. And so when you are finding challenges in your life for whatever reason, are you perpetuating them with your conversations? Are you perpetuating them with your observations? But you have to begin to redirect that energy in a positive way. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the same challenge again and again and again. So when someone says something to you that isn't pleasant, do you get wound up by it? Or are you able to find a piece of calm? Because that's the difference between getting a green light or experiencing more red lights. You've got to learn how to pivot from the challenges that occur. So remember, as I mentioned, complaint, feeling discontent, feeling dissatisfied, all of those types of lower feelings, feeling anger, feeling worry, feeling concern. That's all because you're paying attention to what is, talking about what is, and so that by law of attraction, you're going to get more of what is. So it's only when you're able to change your perspective, change your viewpoint, change what you're giving your energy to, that things will also begin to change as well. So when I've noticed red lights in my life, I've realized that they are there to just help me recognize and come to a sense of presence and awareness that whatever I'm giving my attention to isn't working. Nothing will change until you change your focus. So nearly 2 years ago, as I mentioned, my father made his transition, and I decided to see his transition as an opportunity for more blessings to come, rather than seeing it as a complete loss, which it was physically, but emotionally and spiritually, I thought, well, what if there's going to be tremendous amounts of blessings in this experience? And what is the potential that I may become in this process? Who may I become along the way? And that is a very empowering perspective to come from, because it's saying there is more within you rather than just feeling lost. So if you can see that there's going to be a blessing in here, what that actually does is rewire your mind, rewire your focus, and reframe what potentially could come next, what events and opportunities can come next to you. Because one is high vibe and one is much lower vibe, which is the loss. So you've got to find a ways of making peace with what is. So like I mentioned, ask that question, what if there is a blessing in here? And you've also got to just understand that sometimes there's nothing you can do. So you just got to let it be. And so I often played that Beatles song, Let It Be, because it just made me feel relaxed. I was not pushing against anything, because when problems and challenges occur, you're thinking, there's something I can do about it, I will, but if not, I'm just going to let it be. So that song just really just reminds you as an emotional anchor, and I'm very auditory, so music is very powerful for me. So just letting that be, letting the situation be as it was, gave me a sense of peace. And it could do that for you as well. Maybe you need to let something be just for a few days before you need to take action on something. And also now you've got to find a way to feel better now. So what can you do to feel better now? And I've often found that when challenges have occurred, cardiovascular exercise is a very powerful tool to get the heart pumping and the blood rushing and to get out of my head and into my body. That's a very powerful tool, because going for a run can be very powerful for you to be able to shake up the rut. Now also, another thing is to accept what is, to find acceptance in the not knowing, to find acceptance in the unknown, to find acceptance in this whole situation, whatever you may be experiencing, no matter how it seems or no matter how it is unraveling itself. Because if you can accept it, what you're doing is you're not pushing against, which creates more resistance. So if you can just let it be and do the best you can, despite not liking it, despite not loving the situation, but if you can accept it, then you can move beyond, because when you fight something, you remain stuck with it. So if something that you wanted hasn't happened in your life yet, and you're feeling as though it's creating more and more challenge, can you just accept it and let it be what it is? Because if you can't, you're still pushing against, and only you really know the answer to that. I know that when I started to accept circumstances for being what they were, particularly with having to move to Spain just to take care of my mum, I realised that just in doing that, I created more freedom and more energy inside of me. So whatever it is for you, what can you accept right now? Maybe there's some differences going on in your life. Maybe there's some changes going on. Can you accept them for what they are as a stepping stones to taking you to where you really want to go? Now, also, can you appreciate the contrast? Can you appreciate all the differences of all the things going on around you? Because there may be little quirks, weird things, imperfections. For me, in different countries, there are different things going on, different things than what I'm used to. And sometimes I don't like them, but can I accept them? And can I appreciate them for just being different? Because if we're all the same, life is boring. And what you really came here to do is to look through everything and decide what you prefer. And if you can do that, just realizing that life is a buffet and there are all sorts of things available, and you only have to put on your plate and in your environment and on your attention what you want to give your attention to. What that does is it's very freeing, it's very liberating. So acknowledge what you like, notice what you prefer, and make peace with the rest, because you don't have to give your attention to all the things in the world. You only have to give your attention to what you want and what you want to draw in, and to finding a place of inner peace and inner calm. Now, the next thing you've got to do is really count your blessings to experience more green lights in your life. When there are challenges and you don't know what to do, are you counting your blessings? Back in 2005, I remember I was absolutely broke. I was skint, and I stopped using that word broke. Don't ever use that word, because that will never ever beget you wealth, abundance and prosperity. What I noticed was I was complaining. I felt I deserved more. I was entitled to more. I'd had success and it had gone. And it was only when I acknowledged all the good and I started to be grateful and count all my blessings that within literally 3 weeks, I attracted a wonderful job which paid me a lot of money, which changed my fortunes. But it never made me forget the lesson. Count your blessings, because if you don't count your blessings, you're not going to get any more. And on top of that, I love to use the affirmation, I am so blessed, and the affirmation, why am I so blessed? Because as you acknowledge that you're blessed, you're going to get more blessings. And last but not least, when things don't seem to be going your way, you've got to have a way to lighten up and have fun. Maybe it's to jump in some water, jump in the sea. Maybe it's to jump on a trampoline. For sure, it's to watch a fun movie. For sure, it's to find a way to uplift your vibe. But if you're going to perpetuate yourself in feeling hard done by, disappointed, challenged, anxious, worried, what you're doing is you're not making an effort to climb the vibrational, emotional ladder of feeling better. You've got to find a way to feel better. And sometimes just talking it out and talking to yourself, giving yourself a little pep talk, it's going to be okay, it's going to be all right, I'll find a way, there's always a way, I'll figure it out as I go along. These types of phrases help you feel better, because really what you're doing is you're talking to your inner child. Really what you're doing is you're talking to that level of yourself, the subconscious, that needs to be uplifted. And no one else is going to do it for you. You need to do it for yourself. And it only takes about a minute or two before you can get a visceral emotional change. And when you have an emotional change, that's actually a manifestation of things shifting for you. I remember a time when, again, I was financially challenged and I said to myself, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Things will come together. And literally 2 minutes after that, I got a booking for a job. Now, that really gave me an experience of how powerful I was and my ability to give myself a pep talk that was very gentle but very uplifting, that created an event in my experience within a couple of minutes. It was almost as if, like, I can't believe I've just said these words, I've tried to feel them, and now I've got a new event. So I felt incredibly powerful just by giving myself a pep talk. And you can do that for yourself, but it takes discipline and it takes trusting that when you feel better, things get better. So as I've mentioned before, the law of attraction is always working. And when things don't seem to be going your way and you don't know what to do, it means you need to pivot and change your energy. And sometimes asking yourself a what if question, what if this is going to be okay? What if this all comes together? What if this all comes together in the perfect time? What if there's a beautiful solution I haven't found yet? And what if I find it in the next few days? And what if everything comes together for me even better than I can possibly imagine? And what if this is a nice blessing in disguise that I will discover in the unfolding of this journey? And what if this circumstance is going to be a real blessing for me? And what if everything's going to be okay? And what if I'm going to come out smelling of roses? Ask those what if questions, particularly when you're having a tough time. And notice that it will release the resistance that you're feeling inside your body, which is keeping you pulled underneath the water. Because as soon as you release that resistance, you pop right back up to the surface of the water and you feel buoyant again and relaxed, and you've forgotten what all the problems were all about. That's what's happened to me so many times. And I realize that I can stay so more buoyant in my life right now, energetically, emotionally, and you stay well as a result because you are releasing resistance all the time. That's what meditation does. Meditation keeps you buoyant in your energy. That's why I meditate every single day. And if you're new to meditation, you want to learn how to meditate, go and have a look on my website and sign up for the 7 free ways to meditate in 7 days. It's amazing for you to get going so you become more energetically buoyant. Because unless you change your energy, unless you change what you're giving your attention to, and you begin to give your attention to things that you really want, you're just going to stay stuck. You came here to experience the joy. You came here to experience heaven on earth. You came here to experience and enjoy what you prefer and what you want to create. And the only way you're going to do that is by having more energy and less resistance inside of you. And the most important thing to do is keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy, keep yourself spiritually fit, and simultaneously keep yourself financially fit by using your mind correctly and looking for a way to feel better and provide value to the world. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope there's been some insights in here that really help you. I know they've helped me, particularly during some of my challenging moments and times. And whilst there may be some challenge and contrast ahead, because of course that's what life's all about, but there will be some serious joys as I expand along the way, as there will be for you. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please remember to like, subscribe and share, and give it a review on Apple. I can't thank you enough. If you've been listening to this show, you make this show, and I love all your comments, and I really appreciate all of you who listen in. And until next week, I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and green lights.